package is concerned, I know that you have also been participating in the consultation process in trying to put this package together, which is crucial not just for India's power sector, but also for India's banking sector. If you could take us through the finer details of the plan that has gone through.
I must confess that I am not fully conversant with the entire process. My job was basically looking into the coal aspect of it. We have been engaging with the state governments very intensively to get their view on what was being planned. And the good news is that most of the state governments, or almost all these state governments, are on board. They were also very keen and continue to be keen in terms of, should I use the term, rehabilitation of the Discoms. Most of the Discoms in these states were not in good shape. So this was welcomed by all the states when we had preliminary discussions with them. Very intensive discussions have been held by the Ministry of Power. I was associated with some of them, so I do recall some very intensive discussions with the state governments. As I said, the good news is that all the state governments, all the stakeholders are on board, and that probably augurs well for the Discoms as well as for the energy sector.
You're absolutely right, Mr. Swarup, but if I could ask you to detail for us the plan as far as coal linkages are concerned for the Discoms and what this will eventually mean in terms of being able to bring down costs as far as Discoms are concerned.
Yes, one of the major components of the proposed plan is to bring down the cost of power. Now, this can be brought down by a variety of steps that could be taken in future. One would be what we are calling is the efficiency rationalization of linkages. Meaning thereby that we will look at various linkages that are presently being given to see whether the same amount of coal could generate more power in more efficient plants. The details will be worked out subsequently, but this is one of these steps that will be taken. The other step would be to see whether in future linkages could be offered to Discoms or the state governments, who in turn could auction these linkages on tariff, so that the tariffs will come down. The ultimate objective of all this exercise is to see how the cost of power to the Discoms can come down, thereby giving them better margins to service their loans.
What will all of this mean, Mr. Swarup, in terms of being able to bring down costs as well as power tariffs once all the measures that you've been in consultation with the Power Ministry and state governments are implemented and rolled out?
The role of Coal Ministry will be primarily in the context of providing low-cost coal, which in turn will bring the cost of power down, thereby, as I said, providing better margins for the Discoms. And in that sense, they will be able to service their loans in future. So the primary objective as far as coal is concerned is to bring down the cost of power, either by way of allotment of linkages or even in terms of allotment of blocks, which can then again be bid in the same manner as they were bid in case of UMPP. So that will bring down the cost of power to the Discoms.
What quantum of coal are we talking about, sir, that will be allocated for this purpose for Discoms?
No, it would be difficult for me to give the exact quantities. It will have to be worked out individually with each Discoms. See, the issue here is there is a very detailed plan that is being worked out with each state government. And the quantum, etc., will be determined when we sit down with the state governments and finalize those plans. I must confess to you, these discussions are already underway. And as I said earlier, almost all these states are on board as far as these discussions are concerned.
Mr. Swarup, in your consultation with the Power Ministry, did you get some sense of what the final revival plan would entail? Because there is, of course, the FRBM headroom that is likely to be utilized. We could probably see the Discom debt being moved to the state balance sheets. There's talk of bonds, and these are things that we've been reporting. But could you detail for us in the consultations that you've had what could be the final contours, the conversations that you would have been privy to?
I would suggest that you speak to the power sector in that regard. Broadly speaking, what I can say is there is a present existing liability of the Discoms. Now, without a financial restructuring, you can't even talk in terms of improving the functioning of Discoms, because that area will have to be vacated. That fiscal space will have to become available to the Discoms for them to move forward. I think the effort is to see how this fiscal space becomes available to Discoms by probably transferring the liability to the state government, thereby vacating that space for Discoms to move forward.
Okay. Mr. Swarup, if you can just hold on for 10 seconds.